Oh hell yeah, we are doing this. Hey YouTube! I really thought this Optiplex 755 was going to be a one and done deal, but one person can make a difference. One of our viewers, ChrisBro095, left a comment on the last video that left me wondering how well this PC would perform with Windows XP, arguably the best one ever. If you haven't watched the first video, definitely check it out before this one, but in case you did, you already know what we have. The Intel Core 2 Duo E8200 CPU and a Q35 Intel Express motherboard. The PC came with 2GB DDR2 in single channel, a 250GB hard drive and no GPU. And like we had it at the end of the last video, we will be using 4GB DDR2 at 800GHz in dual channel. But we will be using the original 250GB drive since Windows XP will run just fine on a mechanical disk, and although we tested this PC with the Quadro 600, I decided to go with a GT710 that I have here so there isn't any bottlenecks. So, we're gonna go over where you can find the ISO image, install the system, make sure you have the necessary drivers, and get started with some games. And since I got a bunch of physical PC games from that era, we have some options to try out. So let's get started. The first problem we're gonna encounter here is installing Windows XP via flash drive. It is doable, and I'll show you how you can do it. Of course, you are gonna need the original Windows XP ISO, which you can easily find on Internet Archive. I was hoping Rufus or Balena Etcher could do the trick here, but after some research, I found that you need an app called WinSetup from USB. All apps that I say here, you can find the link in the description. Once on the website, download the latest version, extract the files, and open up the app. Before we move forward, let's mount the ISO image on a virtual drive. Right-click the Windows XP ISO file, select Mount, and the system will create a virtual drive. Do take note on the letter it provides you with. Now head back to WinSetup from USB, select your flash drive, check Windows 2000 XP 2003 setup, and navigate to the virtual drive root folder that you just mount. In my case here, it was the letter I. Keep in mind all your data on that drive will be wiped out. Click Go and let it cook. Put the drive into the PC, start it up, press F12 for the boot menu and select the USB drive. This will show you a screen with a few options. Your PC is likely using AHCI mode for SATA operations. The first option will install the necessary drivers to make sure everything works properly. Let it run and now you can proceed with installing Windows XP. So, this is how it's supposed to work, and I have seen a lot of people installing Windows XP like this, but for the life of me, I just couldn't get it to work no matter what I did. I decided to just go the old-fashioned way and burn the DVD with the ISO. Shout out to the nice lady that gave me a bunch of blank DVDRs for free. If you are going the old-fashioned way, you just have to do one step before installation. Head to the BIOS, select SATA operations, and change it to legacy mode. Save and exit, and now you're good to go to install Windows XP on your drive. Oh man, so many memories. So first things first, I wouldn't recommend having internet with Windows XP nowadays. There are drivers online for this chipset, but it's just not safe. For the purposes of having a retro PC game, we only need one driver, the latest compatible driver with the GPU we'll be using. In my case, the GT710. Make sure to restart your PC after it's done. Now let's get to the fun part. Medal of Honor Airborne. Had to drop to 900p medium since I was getting some freezes at 1080p, which shouldn't be happening with this GPU. And the problems piled up when I tried a bit more demanding games like Blacksite Area 51 and Bioshock, with the PC completely freezing after the game started. I suspect the GPU is thermal throttling, so let's take it out and take a look at the thermal paste. And yeah, as you can see, it's very dry right now. Let's clean this up and replace it. But even with the renewed thermal paste, the games are still freezing. The issue might be the poor airflow inside this case. So I'm gonna be using this PCIe riser to run the GPU outside of the case and see if that works. And voila, the games are now running properly at full speed as expected. So here's the deal, the airflow design of this PC is not ideal to say the least, even worse for a passive cooled GPU. The front fan is pulling air from outside the case to cool the CPU heatsink and blows the hot air directly towards the hard drive and the GPU, which in turn produce their own heat and traps that on top of the GPU heatsink. That creates a feedback loop that thermal throttles the GT710 almost immediately on demanding titles. At least that is my best explanation for what's happening here, and of course this cooling solution here isn't practical. Yes, we could just push through with the GT710 like this, but you know what? I think the Quadro 600 can and will perform just fine with the games that we have here. It has a fan for active cooling, we know it performed fine before. So let's see what this PC can do with it. Medal of Honor now runs fine without issues at 1080p medium, and I believe high settings here will be fine as well. Unfortunately I do not have an FPS monitor here, but I didn't notice any stutters. Civilization 4 was also freezing the PC, which wasn't supposed to happen on a game like this, but now it's working great without issues, running at 1080p at high settings, and I ended up playing a little bit more than I should. I love this game. Another one that I wanted to try out was God and Heroes Rome Rising. I learned this is an MMORPG, which apparently had all its servers closed down years ago, which unfortunately makes this game simply unplayable. I do have some thoughts on how companies abandon games and how this is bad for preservation, but I'll save those for another video. Moving on, let's try Blacksite Area 51, running smoothly at 1080p and not thermal throttling the GPU, which is always nice. Another classic one, Black and White 2 at 1080p high settings. Looks great like this, no stutters during gameplay. Now the real question is, can this PC run Crysis? It can, 1080p and medium settings. I have tried at high settings first, but the game was a bit sluggish, so turning it down to medium is the way to go here. And finally, to put a final comparison between this PC with Linux Mint on the past video and our current setup, Bioshock running at 1080p high settings, very smooth gameplay without any stutters whatsoever. In the last video, I was under the impression that the Quadro 600 couldn't handle this game, but now I see it was a driver issue more than anything, which goes to show that I should have done more research. So it's finally a wrap for this PC. I do hope this video serves as a quick guide to anyone looking to have their own Windows XP retro machine. We saw that installing Battlesarea was a great option, but now we know that a Windows XP retro PC is a great use case if you want to have a dedicated machine for your old CD-DVD gaming collection. Thanks very much for our viewer for inspiring this idea, it was a fun project to work on. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already and turn on your notifications button if you want to see more content like this. It would be much appreciated and it helps this channel grow. Leave a thumbs up if you liked the video, let the community know your thoughts in the comment, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers!